Hello, I'm continuing sharing about difficult people and bullying relationships. You know, some people seem to have great relationships and other people seem to have relationship challenges. If you've got difficult people and bullies in your life and you want to change or improve your relationships with them, you've got to do something more than just hope that they're going to get better. I've already mentioned a few times in my earlier videos about getting stuck, and in this third video it's about giving you some real tools and skills that you can start to use and then upgrade to get successful relationships that you want. In this video I'm giving you a blueprint to follow. It's like lightening up your path. It's like a road map. You know, when you drive to a newer area, you want to know the direction, whether to turn left or right, or to drive straight ahead, or even like a GPS. So I'm Janice Davies, and I've been teaching this information for 15 years, but I've been learning it for over 25 years. I've taught heaps of people how to have more success and help them to turn their life around. And that's fabulous. It makes me feel good. In fact, it's my life mission. So if you haven't already downloaded the Difficult People and Bullies Blueprint, take a moment and do it now. That way you'll be able to read along with me. Now, don't worry if you don't follow it all, because it is all a learning curve and it's taking one snippet of information at a time and then being able to include that into your life, and then another piece and another piece until you've included them all and related them all to the challenging relationships that you've got. Now, in this video, I can't cover everything because it's going to take up too much time, but there's some things that I don't get to, and I'm sorry about that, but at least you've got lots of information from my other two videos and this one and the downloads that you'll be able to get some help with. I'll just do a quick overview, because the first one was about analysing where you had had the difficult relationship in your life, and I gave you 10 areas, and also for how long you'd had the difficult relationship. Then the second video I shared was about the decisions that you are making, about letting go of the past or the present and actually being in the now and deciding to create a new template for better and positive win-win relationships for yourself. I've shared with you some of my journey to help you realize that this is a journey. And if you haven't already seen the two videos, stop this and find the links and go and watch them and download them and do the freebies. Try to watch them so that you can catch up, because it gives you an overview and a bit of vital information. So this kind of makes us understand a little bit better for you. So let's move along. As I said, it is all little baby steps, one at a time. And in my second video, I said about going up the ladder to success. And this is exactly what it is. It's a big learning curve. Now, I've made what I call lots of mistakes, which means that the first time I didn't get it right. And so it's trial and error again and again until you get it right. In the blueprint that goes along with this video, I'm sharing 5 tools with you, and it's about integrating them into your life one at a time. These have been vital to turn my life around, and it's helped thousands, hundreds and thousands of people, and it can help you as well. So once you've learnt these skills, it becomes a new way of thinking in your life, because you want to keep aspiring to have better and better relationships and be going upwards to have the success that you want in your life. Now, unfortunately, there is a big epidemic in the world where people think that if the other person changes, then that will make me happy. But it's your life, it's your decision, and the only person that you can change is actually yourself. So if you're unhappy with the difficult people and the relationships that you've got in your life, it's up to you to learn how to have better ones. I remember me one stage thinking, I wish somebody would just pluck me up out of this life that I was living right then that was unhappy and move me to another place that was going to be happier. Well, you know, in essence, that was never ever going to happen. It had to take me to find the courage and the confidence to be able to do it. And that's exactly what it is for you. As children, we don't have the freedom that we have as adults, but as adults, we can make these decisions to make changes in our lives. So you may wonder why some people annoy you. And in this journey, it's about realizing that everyone has different upbringings and different ideas about what's good in a relationship. And because you're only in control of you, then if you're unhappy, it's about you changing the things in your relationship, because only you have the power to do that. So let's talk about the first tool, and that's about personalities. Now, I mentioned that this is vital in relationships. Maybe you've heard the quote that goes, opposite partners or opposite people attract. And if you're in a partner type relationship, yes, sure, because you're going to be learning from each other. But during the day, you have your relationship with your family, your friends, and other people that you encounter, and you actually encounter these 4 personalities. So I'd like you to answer this question for yourself, and you'll quickly gain an insight about the challenges that people have with these 4 different types of personalities. Could these 4 birds, an owl, a dove, a peacock, and an eagle, live together in the same nest happily? Most likely you'll say no. Yes, they're all birds, but each one has different traits. So we've got the owl, the wise night owl. We've got the dove, who's the lovely, clean peacemaker. We've got the peacock, who's noisy and says, look at me, look at me. And we've got the eagle that flies over the top and then preys on everybody. So, that's really how it is with personalities. And that gives you a very brief overview of how they can affect relationships and the significance that they have on your life and also other people when you try and work together. So once you've learned about the personalities, yours and the other person's, you can pick up who your parents are, your partners, your children, and your relatives. And then it's up to you to decide what are the changes that you are going to make to set new boundaries for yourself. Once you've done that, you negotiate and compromise and learn to either live together more happily or not. Now, the second tool, and the second vital piece of information, is about different relationship types. There are 3 different relationships. They are the parent, the child, and the adult. And as you can gauge from the names, these roles overlap in relationships and cause problems. The next part of this is that these 3 relationship scenario roles get muddled up in 4 different relationship scenarios, and that creates more problems in our relationships. You might only think that there's one type of relationship, but oh no, there's 4 types, and this is where it becomes tricky. But this knowledge is crucial, because when I learned this, it's like, oh my God, that's where I am, that's where I want to be, and what steps did I have to take? So the first one is what they call lose-lose, and this is where dysfunctional relationships are. And look, this is where I started 25 years ago. I know what it feels like. It's unhappy, just don't know why things aren't working for you. What are you doing wrong? You're trying to kind of make things good, but it's not okay. The second one is what they call a win-lose, where one person starts to change and the other person doesn't want to. Or another version of this is the person with the new skills tries to teach the other partner. The third version of this is the opposite of that, is what we call lose-win. So we've got one person who's always blaming the other person for everything. And the fourth one, which is what we want, is a win-win. And this is where the people start to merge together, work together, create and compromise and negotiate and all that sort of thing. And most certainly when I saw this, it's like, okay, that's where I am, that's where I want to be, all the steps that I had to take. So I mentioned in the earlier video that relationships can be improved by using words, and this is where effective communication plays its part. Now there's 2 words that are the hardest word for people to say, and that's I, what I call an I statement, which is about you, and also using the words no, which is actually setting your boundaries for yourself. In effect, one of the reasons that you could be having challenges is that you're not using these words enough. However, there's lots of other skills needed for effective communication, for listening and feedback. and learning how to use them is essential to be able to have better relationships. Now, the fourth one is something that I'm really, really, really passionate about. So I believe it is the key to success, and without a healthy amount of it, you can fall in the cracks. It needs to be a good, positive, and high amount of this so that you're going to be confident enough to create your success. And you might have guessed I'm talking about self-esteem or self-confidence. So there's low self-esteem, and that's where we are, where we have all our problems and we haven't got the confidence to stand up and do the things that we want to create ourselves. And on the other hand, there's high self-esteem, and that's when we've learned all these skills so that we can do this. Now, when I started my journey over 25 years ago, and I did an exercise on one of the courses, and I teach this as well in another course I do, I decided that my self-esteem was minus 25. So it was way, way, way down low. And now working on it every day, and I do mean every day, it's 10 out of 10. Now, it might sound hard and time consuming, but I make sure I do things that make me feel good. And it can start things with putting on makeup to make me more beautiful every day, doing my fingernails, eating healthy food, exercising, and heaps more just little things. I'm sure you kind of get the drift of it. It sounds complicated, but it isn't, and it actually becomes a new way of life for you. The fifth tool that I want to share is I've actually included in my business name, and that's what I call myself, the Attitude Specialist. Now, the reason it's so important is because it's hard. If you don't take control of your mind, it wanders around and all these negative things come through into it. And so that's why I keep reading quotes, because when you're thinking negative, and if you replace it with a quote, then you've immediately started to think positive. So those are the 5 vital tools that I've used to turn my life around, to change relationships, to help thousands of people, and those are the tools that you can use for your life as well. It's about how you use them. So make sure that you've downloaded the blueprint and learned some of this information, because now it's up to you to start integrating in your life. What happens as babies and youngsters, we're taking in all this information in our brain, whether it's good or bad. So we're learning to think either negative or positive because what's happening around us. And I'm sure that, I share more about this in my next conversation that I have with you. But it's about how can you train your brain to create the things that you want instead of having it creating or stopping you creating the things that you don't want. So what comes next? It's all the buts that you have. I've got a friend and a mentor, and she's got a book called Shift Your Butt. Basically, it's about all the reasons that you come up with, or we come up with, that stop us from moving forward. It's our excuses, your excuses, that stop you from succeeding. Now, years ago, there was no internet, and so our parents had a completely different life from us, and so they didn't have this information readily available. Today, there is no excuse. So let's have a look at some of the buts. Because your first relationships are with family, let's start with some of those. Maybe you think someone, whoever it is in your family, won't like you changing. However, remember I said that you have lots of choices. When you start changing the relationships, you do it a little bit at a time. Once you start understanding how relationships work, then you can start using different phrases. You set some new boundaries and you start taking some different actions. Now, maybe it could be with your friends that you need to set limits with, or a partner. Or if it's work colleagues, and I have a completely different course with different scenarios in about difficult people and bullies in the workplace. Now, you probably have noticed that other people seem to be able to set boundaries for themselves. Basically, that means that they've actually learned how to use these skills. They don't seem to be challenged by difficult relationships. They seem to have time for themselves, and they seem to be able to enjoy the things in life that they want. Now, another but could be, you could say, well, they don't get bullied. Well, there's a reason for that, and that's exactly the same thing. They've learned to use these skills and set a boundary up for them with words and actions. This blueprint and the course that I teach helps you to gain the confidence and use these skills to create new relationships and a new life for yourself. It's about you learning how to manage these relationships and have a better balance for yourself. It's valuing you, your own life, your time, your space, your dreams, your desires, as well as living alongside other people. You have learnt to manage them by words, by phrases, by actions, and you've got the confidence and the attitude to do it. So here's another but. Maybe your but is, but this won't work for me. Well, in some ways that's quite valid because that's negative thinking. And part of learning to deal with difficult people is learning how to have a positive attitude and to think positively. There's a couple of great quotes, and one of them by Henry Ford says, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right as well. So if you think you can, you've got positive thinking. If you think you can't, you've got negative thinking. So either way is true. And there's another quote that I like, is success comes in cans, not in cannots. So some of our thinking can rub off from family and friends, but in the end, it's your life. And if you're not taking daily steps towards stopping something that's not working for you and including something that is helping you to work towards your dream, then you're stuck in a rut. You may have heard in one of my videos that I said, once I realized I was bullied and it had resulted in me in having low self-esteem, I made a decision that would change my life. I decided I was going to turn my life around. I didn't want to be unhappy anymore. I didn't want to be in difficult relationships. I wanted to learn how to fix them. And it started with me making a decision. And I'm inviting you to make a decision as well. This journey is starting to learn to believe in yourself, to value yourself. And when you don't, like I didn't once, you don't value and you keep on making excuses. I'm really, really urging you to start turning your life around. I know this can work because I've done it with myself and my clients have done it as well. So when you choose to join me and what I teach, I help you to believe in yourself. And this works for anyone who has decided that they want to be happier. They want to have the confidence. They want to have the courage to turn around these tricky relationships. And that's what I teach, because it does take confidence and courage. One of the other books that I've written is about how to move from fear, because you've got to get over your fear. Remember, it is also your life. So it's about you learning to make some compromises that work for you and take baby steps towards your success. This journey in learning to deal with difficult people and bullying is transformational, I can assure you. I've seen it in my clients, I'm living proof, and I know that I can help you transform your life as well. Once you've made the decision, and that's the crucial bit, making a decision that you want to be happier, and then start making some changes, it can be as easy as using some new words and phrases and setting those new limits for yourself. So now you are becoming the smarter, wiser one. There's many movies around that show these tricky type of family relationships. Titanic is one of them. At the beginning of the relationship with the mother and the bully fiance who are trying to get Kate to do what they want her to do. Another movie is called 27 Dresses, and it's about a sister who took on a mothering role when the mother had passed away and continued it for years. So she was possibly unaware that she was spending her life being at everyone else's beck and call and not creating her own happiness. So the thing is, this is out of your comfort zone. But like everything new in your life, it's always been out of your comfort zone until you've started to integrate it. My job is to have a bigger vision for you. I believe that everyone can have great relationships and have the self-confidence of 10 out of 10. But ultimately, it starts for you with your decision that you want to create a happier life and better relationships for yourself. Now, I know I've covered lots of information. You've got 3 videos and 3 lots of downloads. And so I'm going to be sharing a program with you soon. And I know that everything in this here has worked, and I'm so passionate about it, I'm actually making a movie about it. It won't be out for 4 or 5 years, but it's about how can we teach this to a larger audience, and a movie is the best way to be able to do that. So I want you to go further on your journey. And so what I've got a new program that's going to be starting in a few days. How it's working is that it's all online. I run it online, and you can do it from the comfort of your chair and your computer. I'm going to be opening registrations in a few days' time. And then once we start that, we work together in a class and go through it all together. And I can guarantee that you will come out the other side with better relationships that you're forming, changing the ones that you've got, and you will be a more confident person. So I'll be sending you more details where I explain it all. So look out for my email. And remember, now I've given you heaps of information. I want you to start thinking about it. Even observe yourself or think back to those tricky relationships. And how did you feel, or how do you feel about that? Take note of that. And then daydream of the type of relationship that you would want to have, and feel that feeling, because there will be a difference between the unhappy feeling and the happy feeling. And what I do is I take you on a transformation so that your unhappy feelings have changed to happy feelings, because you've made these changes with words and actions and understanding. So before I go, I'd like you to do some little things for me as well. Please like me on Facebook and share this information with people, because this is how we can make changes and make this a happier world and a better place to live in. Leave your comments either here or on one of my Facebook pages, and I'll be answering them as well and giving you some more information and helping you out. But of course, before I leave you, I've got to give you a quote. This is one I made up quite a few years ago, and it is called, "The right attitude is a positive attitude." So until we connect again, take care.